So we're up to the sixth aliyah and the Torah reading for Rosh Hashana on day 1, and we're like zipping through because they're very short aliyahs. So now we found out that, Ishmael is going to be okay, and we have a transition. The Torah does one of these big transitions. Now it came to pass that is verse 22 from Genesis chapter 21. Now it came to pass at that time that Avimelech and Pichol, his general, said to Avram, saying, God is with you in all that you do. Now, we don't know who Avimelech is. We don't really know Pichol is. Clearly, the Torah thinks that they're important because it tells us their names. And Avram obviously knew who they were. And, this guy shows up with his general. It's kind of a show of force. We don't know where he came from. We don't really know, how much time has passed since the incident, where Ishmael was sent away. But this is what we're reading. Verse 23. Now, Avimelech recognizes that God is with Avram. And verse 23 says, and now swear to me by God that you will not lie to me or to my son or to my grandson, according to the kindness that I've done with you, you shall do with me and with the land wherein you have joined. So Avram's a guest. He's a guest in Eretz Israel, in Eretz Canaan. He's totally a guest. He's all by himself. He's from Iraq. If you guys remember, he's actually not even from Israel. He is not a local Canaanite. He's not he's an Ivri. I guess they had a mutual language that they spoke at that time. Obviously they communicated with each other. And this general, this person, Avimelech, with his general, kind of puts this all of a sudden he says this to Avram. It's kind of out of the blue. First he says that God's with Avram, but then he says don't lie to me. Make me this promise. And Avram said, I will swear. So Avram did it. He swore. And Avram contended with Avimelech about the well of the water that the servants of Avimelech had forcibly seized. So Avram had been digging these wells, and obviously, so Avimelech, and him got in kind of this discussion about the well. And Avimelech said, I do not know who did this thing, neither did you tell me, nor did I hear of it until today. They didn't have Twitter, they didn't have WhatsApp, they didn't have news reporters. But come on, we don't know how far Avimelech lived from Avram, but let's, in Israel, you could really get around most of Israel, especially back then when everybody was in super good shape. You could probably get to most places within 2 or 3 day, 4-day walk, 5-day walk, if it's really super far, maybe a week, 2 weeks, but they probably lived very close to each other. Avram did not live in the middle of nowhere, not surrounded by anybody, right? So, but Avimelech didn't know about it. At least that's what he claims. Verse 27. So Avram took flocks and cattle and gave them to Avimelech, and they both formed a covenant. So that ends so they're going to come into this contractual agreement with each other. But it seems obvious if you read the verses the way I am, at least obvious to me, that Abraham's not in the position of strength here. He's the one who has to concede. He's the one who has to give up the flocks. He's the one that's being presented with this Avimelech character and a general. So Abraham's come on. He's not in a very position of strength here. That ends the sixth aliyah.